We have just arrived at Hopewell's house after receiving an SOS that his home had been surrounded by about 8 state security agents, and they broke the glass at his door, gained entry, and he has been abducted. We are not sure where he has been taken. I was actually in court. When I came out and I checked my messages, there was a message that, police were at his house. And I immediately drove there, and I got there just after they had left. And the caretaker, they told me that they said they were taking him to Highlands Police Station, which is his local police station. And after looking at where they had gotten in, after kicking in the glass panel, I went to Highlands Police, and he was not there.
And who had alerted you?
He was able to send some messages to some people, yeah.
Is it normal in Zimbabwe for police to kick down your window and arrest you in that way?
The police are a law unto themselves because the courts are not calling them out. The law, yes, doesn't allow them to do that, but because the system allows them to do that, they'll continue doing it.
Would you classify that as an abduction? The government has denied that they abducted him.
The police did not identify themselves when they got to his house. They did not produce any arrest warrants. They lied to the caretaker that they were taking him to a police station, and when we followed through to that police station, he was not there.
Do you think he feared for his life? I mean, he recorded the arrest.
Absolutely. I mean, the reason he recorded that is because everybody knows that people are getting abducted and nobody knows where they are taken. Even if you are found a few days later, you would have been tortured by then, you would have been beaten up, and nobody would know what would have happened to you. So the interrogations that go on when nobody knows where you are without your lawyer, the video that he took shows that he was not read any of his rights that he's entitled to. And the way he was taken is exactly the way that other people who have been disappeared were taken. And when one looks at the way they have treated him since he was arrested, you can see that the intention was not to treat him in terms of the law.
What is the legal basis? I mean, in South Africa, you are granted bail if you can prove that you will return to court and that you're not a flight risk. What are the reasons that are considered by the courts in Zimbabwe?
Actually, in Zimbabwe, in terms of the constitution, bail is a right. That's what the law says. Our law is slightly better than South Africa when it comes to bail. It is the state that must then place before the court compelling reasons why you should not get bail, you know. But the courts completely ignore that. In fact, the particular magistrate who dealt with this case does not even talk of any compelling reasons why he shouldn't be granted bail, because there were none whatsoever. And the evidence that was led from the policemen considered that there were no compelling reasons. There was no incitement to commit violence in the tweets that he did, and he accepted that appropriate conditions would safeguard his attendance at trial. But because the magistrate didn't like that, he just simply pretended no evidence was laid and just denied him bail on his own basis.
Why was Hopewell Chin'ono arrested?
I think the issue of Hopewell Chin'ono, I think it has been publicized enough that people by now should know why Hopewell Chin'ono was arrested.
I'd like you to tell
And
us.
the lawyer, Beatrice Mutetwa, knows very well why he was arrested. He was arrested for inciting violence.
What words did he use that would qualify as an incitement of violence? Could you please quote them verbatim for me?
What we saw towards the run-up of the July 31, people were called for a demonstration for corruption.
Anti-corruption.
Anti-corruption. And almost everyone would have joined an anti-corruption demonstration, be it in ZANU-PF and any other people that do not want to see a corruption rearing its head in any form in Zimbabwe. And nobody would therefore say such a demonstration is wrong. But we then saw that the call for an anti-corruption demonstration changed its narrative to a ZANU-PF must go. E.D. Mnangagwa must go. How do you remove a democratically elected president? By calling people to go in the streets, and you wait for the president, for all the people to just come here and remove him violently.
Going out into the streets and saying, Mnangagwa must go, is that violent? Is that a violent act?
The intention of that call was to ensure that people go on the streets and violently remove a sitting president.
How?
Once people are in the streets, how can they be controlled? How are they going to be controlled?
Have you ever seen a situation like that in Zimbabwe? Let's be honest with each other here. Where people go out into the streets and themselves become violent against the sitting president.
We have not seen any situation of that nature in Zimbabwe.
In a democracy, saying a government must go or a party must go is not inciting violence. In a real democracy.
Zimbabwe is a real democracy. ZANU-PF is the party that brought democracy in Zimbabwe after a protracted liberation struggle.
With all due respect, sir, what we see in Zimbabwe does not qualify as democracy. In a real democracy,
Zimbabwe is a real democracy.
In a real democracy, saying a government must go or a president must go or a ruling party must go is not inciting violence.
Sure, it's the manner in which ZANU-PF must go.
How do you explain a minister accused of corruption being granted bail and somebody who tweeted about a demonstration being in jail for a month? How do you explain that?
When we come to corruption, you would agree with me that cases of corruption have been very difficult to prove.
But what is bail, sir? Why is somebody granted bail?
Like, for instance, one of the reasons before the 31st, why Hopewell Chin'ono and the others were not given bail at that particular time, it was because the 31st had not come and gone. That was the reason. That is why
that's
now...
Not a reason. That's not a reason to deny somebody bail. The general belief is that Hopewell Chin'ono was arrested because he's become a thorn in the side of Mnangagwa's government because he fearlessly exposes corruption. That's the general perception.
Yes, and that perception needs to be corrected. Hopewell was not arrested for speaking against corruption. Hopewell was arrested for inciting violence.
It doesn't matter how little there is. For them, those who are close to the feeding trough, those who are close to the till, please do not disturb us. We are eating.
declared, what is it? A prohibited immigrant. I'm being deported now. I'm going directly to the airport. This is not the action of a government that is confident in its own legitimacy, and it is afraid of a free press, and it is afraid of the independent and critical reporting.
I was arrested, I was held in the police holding cells, and then I was taken to court.
Accused of publishing falsehoods.
Of publishing falsehood, yes. That was in May 2002. And I was held in police cells for not quite 2 days, almost 2 days.
I traveled to Namibia for a conference, and I got back on a Friday. When I got home, I was told the police were looking for me. I was like, why are they looking for me? And then Saturday, they pitched up in the morning and they said, we've been asked to come and pick you. I said, well, what have I done? Criminal defamation. And then I spent 2 nights inside. And when you get in there, the other detainees, the other prisoners say, why are you in here? And you tell them why you're in here. Suddenly they hero worship you. These guys don't know you from a bar of soap. So, oh, really? You're here because you defied Robert Mugabe? I say, not exactly. We wrote a story and the system didn't like it, and they've thrown me in here. And then you suddenly become a hero inside there. It does not break you. It makes you stronger. This is where dictators get it wrong. This is where African politicians get it wrong. African politicians and dictators make heroes out of cowards.
Why do they keep doing this?
Why do they keep doing it? It's because for them, they think it's a way of one, punishing you, and also sending out a message to other people that they shouldn't do what you did. It does have a chilling effect to others who are outside, but not to you. You get in there frightened and timid. When you get out of that place, you are a different person. Because when they've done this to you, what else can they do apart from killing you? I can tell you right now, Hopewell is going to come out of this thing stronger and different. It's going to be difficult to hold it back after this. Because after this, what else can they do to him apart from killing him?
Struggle against corruption should continue. People should not stop. They should carry on with it.
He knew it was going to happen. Did you know it was going to happen to you?
I didn't know it was going to happen to me, but I knew that I had become a marked person as far as Robert Mugabe is concerned.
The conditions in jail are very difficult. They're crowded cells. The food is minimal and of very poor quality. The sanitation and hygiene is bad as well. And it has only become worse.
There is no running water. In the cell where Hopewell is, for instance, there were 43 of them in a cell meant for 16 people. He did measurements, and he says each person has 30 centimeters space to sleep. And the prisoners don't have masks. They only get given masks when they're going to court. The ones who are at the prison have no masks because the masks are simply not there. The prison hospital has no medication. The diet is dire. I mean, in this day and age, you have prisoners that have actually pellagra because of the diet, the poor diet that they're subjected to. So it's a disaster waiting to happen in terms of COVID.
How do they get away with it time and time again? Human rights abuses that are blatant, against the Constitution, against the law, but they get away with it. Why?
They are not Democrats at heart. You're forcing them through this Constitution, which was negotiated between all the other political parties, MDC and ZANU-PF, resulting in this beautiful Constitution. They do not fully embrace this document, and hence the reluctance to align the laws of the country to the Constitution. It's one thing saying you're a Democrat. It's another thing practicing democracy when you have opposition. Very, very different thing altogether.
What are they scared of? I mean, we look at Zimbabwe and the dire economic situation, and it's almost like, you know, if it's your turn to eat, there's nothing left to eat, in a way. What is it?
Well, there's lots to it, as you've seen from, if you're following Hopewell's tweets and a lot of other tweets, the corruption, COVID corruption, like as we've seen in South Africa and Kenya and everywhere else, we've had our own bout of COVID corruption. But I must say that the level of corruption under President Mnangagwa has just been frightening. It's like it's a free-for-all. You ask the question, what are they afraid of? They're afraid that you're going to disturb their eating. That's the thing. It doesn't matter how little there is. For them, those who are close to the feeding trough, those who are close to the till, please do not disturb us. We are eating. That's what this is all about. The government knows people are unhappy. The party knows people are unhappy. Instead of attending to the problems that people are raising, you shoot the messenger. That's not how it should be.
Do you think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Zimbabwe?
Yes, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Zimbabwe. The question is, how long is the tunnel?
Now they've barred you from representing Hopewell. What's that all about, and what legal justification do they have?
You know, the legal justification is that I've scandalized the court. And the basis of that is a Facebook post on the wall for Beatrice Mtetwa and the rule of law, a documentary that some American woman made about my work many, many years ago. It is her page. It is a page that promotes the film. It has nothing whatsoever to do with me. I actually didn't even know about what was posted there until they mentioned it in court. I have absolutely no control over what gets posted on that Facebook page, and I am not on Facebook. So that's the basis that what was said there scandalized the court. But the intention is not so much to really follow the legal route or that they were scandalized. The intention was to remove me from the case. The saddest part of it is that the magistrate did not even say to Hopewell, what are your views? This is his choice. This is his case. A court goes without hearing him and removes his lawyer on a completely false basis, because I can't be responsible for what is posted outside. And in any event, there was absolutely no due process. I'm a very senior lawyer in Zimbabwe. There are many younger human rights lawyers. So the idea also is to intimidate the younger lawyers into not robustly representing their clients. So there'll be a chilling effect on those younger lawyers that if it can happen to Mrs. Mtetwa, it can also happen to me. So I must toe the line. So the effect is virtually to deny certain types of litigants their lawyers of choice by intimidating the lawyers into not taking certain types of cases.
How do you practice law in a country where the authorities seem to always be flouting the law?
Sometimes I feel that even as lawyers, we are complicit because we go to these courts expecting to get, just decisions. And, we are giving these courts respectability when actually not all of them deserve that kind of respect. The courts, especially the magistrates' court, is severely compromised. Everyone knows what the law is, but I can tell you that at the magistrates' court, for instance, unless the state consents to bail, You simply do not get bail if your case is a high-profile case. And that's standard. It is known.
You know, many Zimbabweans were only too happy to see Mugabe's back in 2017. What's the mood like? How are you feeling about the era that we're in now, the Mnangagwa era?
Following corrective measures.
Well, I didn't have the same excitement as most people had. So I'm one of the few who didn't even go out to the street. But everybody thought that no one would take us down the Mugabe route again. But people are becoming nostalgic for Mugabe now, which is quite ironic. Nobody ever thought that someone would come in and be worse than what Robert Mugabe was like.
The country that we dreamt about in 1980 that's the hope that we still hope for, that it's going to be a different country, that Zimbabwe is going to be back to what it was, the bread basket of Southern Africa. We used to feed Southern Africa. Our skills base was amazing. Our infrastructure was amazing. That day is going to come back. But is it going to come back because of ZANU-PF and MDC alone? I don't think so. Where we are right now requires all of us.
Do you think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Zimbabwe?
Yes. Yes. The question is, yes, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Zimbabwe. The question is, how long is the tunnel?